title of this book is The Sign of the Beaver, and the author of this book is Elizabeth George Beer. He won the very honor prize. The genre of this book is realistic fiction, and the genre of this book is realistic fiction because it is fiction. Because when it's not fiction, like if it's about facts and about science, they tell it happened in like real life, but it doesn't tell that. So I think it's fiction, and it happened in 1990s Maine in a forest. So the story begins with Matt and his father living in Maine in a forest in 1990s, and they left their mother and Sarah and the newborn baby up in Quincy. So they are planning to go to Quincy at about 12. After 12 months, they get in the forest. So first, Matt and his father live happily in the cabin, growing crops, corn, and hunting. But after time passes, Matt's father have to go to Quincy to get their newborn baby and Sarah and his mother. So when it's time for Matt's father to leave, Matt's father tell him to get a rifle when there's like many animals there, and then when there's a bear attacking, hit its like head or something, and how to hunt, and then to grow the crops, and then take off the weeds, and we'll put water on them. And first Matt does that well, but as time passes, he feels lonely. He's alone in the forest, and it's almost December, and he loses his hope to find his father. And also, he lost his rifle by a man named Ben. Ben, what Matt thought was a good man, but when time passes, he just like comes into the house without like Matt noticing and takes the rifle and runs away. But what will Matt do? He has no rifle, he doesn't know how to hunt, he doesn't know how to grow crops, so he just starves. But when he finds a beehive, the story changes. He finds a beehive and they kind of scratch the beehive to find the honey, but he gets chased by bears, the bees. And he goes inside the pond, but when he goes inside the pond, the bees just swarms in above the pond, so he cannot get up. So he kind of loses his breath, and then he almost faints. But when Satkins comes and Satkins' grandson comes, they rescue him out of the water. They plug out all the bee stings, and they gave him medicine, food, and shelter.
About like 2 minutes.
They become friends with each other. The Indian boy name is Athens, and they became friends. They hunt bears, they grab rabbits, with the bear they do a bear party at the Indian village. They go there and play, and then play like basketball, kind of like basketball, hitting the ball with the baseball, hitting the ball with a bat, and they become more closer. But when Matt thought he was not alone now, Athenian have to leave. He needs to find his money through his spirit guide. When he finds it, they say it's time for the hunters to go to the west because many white people are coming. They said if the white people are coming, they cannot hunt because it becomes their property, so they cannot hunt there or like grab crops or anything. So after Athenian leaves, Matt tries to live well with the dog that Athenian gives as a present. He waits long and long until his parents come, and after 1 month pass, his parents come. And I will not spoil the ending, but it is a happy ending. And I will most recommend it to Haryong because she likes easy books and it's really fun. So I think she will like it. And I think Yena will not like it because if I say a few jokes, she just says, well, the fact is, so I don't think she will like it. And I will rate a 10 out of 10 because it's easy and fun and interesting. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul, and today I'm going to introduce my book called The Crossover, written by Quaim Alexander. So, the genre of this book is sports fiction and verse novel. So, in a sports fiction, the story is usually related to sports because it has the name sports right away in the book. And it's a verse novel because, like, the book is by raps and, like, poems. And, like, let me now tell you the setting. So, the setting is divided into two sections: time and place. It takes time in the early 2010s, according to my searching of Google, and like it takes place in these kind of unnamed American town called, like, maybe it can be some places that like basketball, like maybe like in American some place. So let me now tell you the summary of The Crossover. Josh Bell and Jordan Bell are the twin brothers who are a superstar of basketball in their school team Wildcats. So, like, they have these kind of skills that make even the toughest ballers of basketball on other teams cry. But one day, there's this new girl called Alexis who likes Jordan Bell, the narrator Josh's twin brother. So they fall in love all of a sudden. So, like, whenever Jordan, like, goes into this match or he ends it, like, Alexis comes and gives him sweet teas or, like, talk to him and happen all these romantic stuff. And also there's this one more problem that is in his family. So his father, Charlie Chuck Daman Bell, has this blood pressure that makes his, like, health significantly decline throughout the story. So so he is a good basketball player, but he ends his, like, player life and doesn't even coach his people. So I can't spoil you the ending, of course, because, like, if I spoil you the ending, like, you guys won't be interested in it. So, but let me tell you this: realities and stories, they don't really end in a happy ending. So there's this two conflicts: dad's health and this new girl friend, like, disturbing the main character's brother playing basketball. So, like, my favorite moment was when, like, Josh and Jordan had conflict over Alexis, because Josh, he was angry that Jordan wasn't focusing on basketball but only focusing on girls, and, like, suddenly turning all religious and going to Bible school and meeting girls. So he kind of gets angry with Jordan, his twin brother. So, like, I was kind of having fun looking at that because, like, fighting is kind of fun when you see it in a book, because, like, they fight a lot and, like, they resolve it in the end. So I would, like, most recommend it to one of my classmates who likes sports, like Ivan and Ewan, because if you don't know sports that much, this book would quite be boring, and you might not understand and go into this perplexity. Like, you might think, what's this story talking about? And, like, I don't want to read this book and just grab another book. So I hope you, like, kind of know the basketball rules and system before reading this book, because, yeah, like, it might be quite kind of boring if you don't know the rules and systems. And I would, like, least enjoy this book to, like, recommend it to people who don't like sports, like Yenna or Caleb, because, like, I don't think they like getting sweats and, like, running around. So, like, when they even though they're not doing it, when they, like, get this kind of very detailed sweating and running around and, like, screaming and, like, tackling, they might think this is kind of, like, disgusting to them. So also they might grab another book. So thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine. Today I will tell you a book called Sabi by Ingrid Law. And the genre of this book is mystery because this is talking about magic, and then also it's like so interesting, and it's so mysterious. So I think this genre is mystery. The story of this book is like one like this family has a really interesting birthday. When the characters become 13 years old, then they can have only one magic. And then nobody knows what magic is this. And then also, when the person when they're 13 years old can get the magic. If they're more older than that, they cannot get more magic. And one day, the character's birthday, and she was really wanted to get the magic fast, but her dad get really bad condition, and he goes to hospital, and he couldn't wake up. So the character was so sad. So she went. She was trying to go to hospital, but she has no plan to go there. So she rides a secret Bible truck, and then she tries to go to hospital.
3 minutes.
And when she went in the Bible truck, there was her brothers and her friend's mother there. So the character was so interesting about everyone going to hospital together. But she thought it was going to hospital right away, but it was not. The Bible truck went to many houses, and in the end, the truck goes to hospital. But it will pass many hours. So they talk about magics, and the character thinks that she might save her dad. So she prays for it. And then when she is in the truck, she knows that she has a power that she can read by tattoos and also read by drawings. And she saw that another brothers was drawing a drawing, and then the characters know that what he felt. He felt really strong, but inside he was really weak. So she was understanding everyone's feeling, and at last she was arrived at hospital. And at hospital, she runs to see her dad. And when she saw her dad, she knows that what he feels and what he feels and what he thinks about. And I will not spoil the end. And I rate this book as 10 out of 7 because this book is really magic, and then this book is really interesting. So I will rate this book as 10 out of 7, and I will recommend this book to Lily because she likes dragon and she likes magical stuff. And she wants to be a dragon. So I think she wants to have a magic to become an animal. And then I will least enjoy it to Haryang because Haryang, I think Haryang do like we are so interesting and magical stuff. So I will least enjoy it to Haryang. Thank you for listening.
Hello guys, today I present my essential reading book. It's A Diary of a Wimpy Kid. This book is really fun. If you're looking for a comedy or a fun book, you should read this one. The author of this book is Jeff Kinney. Jeff Kinney is the number one New York Times best-selling author and a 6-time Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award winner for favorite book. The genre of this book is comedy and graphic novels. The time setting is around Christmas, so like on December. The place settings are hotels, beach, airport, and Greg's house. The main character of this book are Greg, Roderick, Mamie, Susan, and Frank. Now, I will tell you about the story. So this is the summary of this book. Christmas was coming, so Greg's family plans for vacation. Greg's parents chose the perfect spot, but Greg feels uncomfortable. Roderick is keep acting silly, and Mamie is bothering the family. At the airport, there are long lines and seating issues. On the plane, Mamie is annoys the other passengers, and Greg keeps on feeling uncomfortable. The family arrives at the resort, but they face problems at check-in. The hotel wasn't perfect as much as they expected. The room was messy, and the pools were too crowded, and the dining was just really bad. But Greg struggles to enjoy the vacation. But there are like some fun moments and problems happening. For example, at the beach, Mamie destroys the sand castles, and Greg and Roger keeps on arguing with each other, and there are some small accidents happening. The pools were too crowded, so Greg struggles with it, and the dining was just trash and disappointing. I will recommend this book to Caleb because he's a funny guy and he likes comedy books and funny stuff. And since it's a comedy book, I think he'll find it kind of relative because in this book there are lots of characters who's similar to him. I think Paul will please enjoy this book because he's very serious. Even though in our class we make some funny jokes, he doesn't laugh, but he keeps that seriousness on his face. So rather than comedy books, I think he'll enjoy like graphic novels. Not only my classmates, but I greatly recommend this book to everyone who likes comedy books and funny stuff. I will rate this book 10 out of 10 because this book is just perfect.
I think so too.
This book made me like book more, and when I was a kid, when I read this book, I started to like book more. Sometimes book has more fun than anything else. I hope you enjoy this book as much as I do, and thank you for listening. Oh my god, it's streaming! Ash!
Lily needs to come to 7th grade.
Hello, my name is Sienna. Today I'm going to introduce the essential reading book called Head Trap by the author Gary Paulson. Gary Paulson was the author of children's book and young adult fiction. He wrote more than 200 books and magazine articles, including his best well-known book Head Trap, Dog Song, and The Winter Room. So I'm going to start talking about the book Head Trap. The genre of this book is realistic fiction. and it takes place in Canadian forest in late summer. So the story starts with the main character called Brian. He was riding a plane to visit his father because his mother and father were divorced.
Go.
So
It's Lisa's turn.
he was
Come on,
riding a
close.
plane to go to like for a place where his father was living. But suddenly in the plane, the pilot gets heart attack and Brian doesn't know what to do and he doesn't even know how to drive the plane. So at that moment when the pilot got heart attack, the plane fell down into a strange forest and when Brian was falling down in the plane, he kind of felt like he was in the water and he knew that it was lake in the forest. So he went out, but the pilot couldn't because he died. But he felt kind of strange because there was nobody and it was really quiet forest. And he was alone and he was really confused because he didn't know what to do and he didn't know how to find food and where to live and how to read the time. But by the time passed, he learned himself how to hunt and fish by making weapons and how to make fire with his hatchet that his mother gave and how to make a shelter and how to read the time by sun. So he was hoping to go back to his home by trying hard to survive in that strange forest. He even met a bear and a porcupine and he gets bitten by mosquitoes and bugs. So he had a bad situation and struggles, but he survives by himself and he gets help from the hatchet that his mother gave him. So I will not spoil the ending, but what do you think about the ending? Do you think Brian will go back to his mother or father or will just live there forever? So I want you to read this book because it's really interesting and I like this book because I like the part when Brian falls down with the dead pilot and I like feeling nervousness and anxiousness in like that thrilling moment. I want to recommend this book to Haryang because I think she likes books that makes her to continue reading the book and I think she likes thrilling stories and I think she likes realistic fiction because
you only have 1
feel
minute
the
left, so 1
character's
minute.
feelings.
You got 1
And
minute.
I think Jasmine will enjoy this book because
Yeah, 1 minute.
the story is about the boy living in the forest alone, and I think she likes being alone with people and living with people in the groups. My favorite part in the story was when Brian learning how to make a fire with using his hatchet because that shows that Brian can learn himself and he was trying to survive by his own ability and his own knowledge that he learned from other books. Thank you for listening.
Today I'm excited to share a book I recently read called Talk Everlasting. It was written by Natalie Babbitt and it belongs to the fantasy genre. I decided to read this book because it was in the essential reading list. What first caught my attention was the title of this book. I've read other books by this author before, and I think this story would be perfect for readers who enjoy fantasy genre books. The story takes place in a quiet town of Chuigap during 1881. The main character is Winnie Foster, who is a 10-year-old girl. The main problem or conflict in the story is the mysterious man in the yellow suit. Some important events that happen are when Winnie meets a boy named Jess Tuck. I won't give away the ending, but it was interesting. As the story develops, we learn more about the characters and how they deal with challenges. The main character, Winnie Foster, changes throughout the story by meeting the family in the woods. Another important character is Jess Tuck, who drank from the spring long ago. My favorite character is Winnie Foster because she didn't drink from the spring. I didn't like May Tuck very much because he killed the man in the yellow suit. After learning about the characters and their experiences, it becomes clear that the author wanted to share a deeper message through the story. The story also teaches an important message or theme. I think the main lesson of the book is the importance of mortality. The author shows this through explaining the events in the story. This message is important because mortality is very important. It reminds me of another book I read. Overall, the story made me think about the importance of death and helped me understand about it. One part of the story that really stood out to me was when Winnie didn't drink the spring. This part is special because everyone drank it, but she didn't. It helped me understand more about the character or the theme of the book. Another thing that made the story memorable for me was a quote that I really liked. The quote says, "Don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of an unlived life." I chose this quote because it was the main idea of the story, and I think it captures the author's main idea or emotion in the story. Overall, I really enjoyed reading this book. I would rate it a 4 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it to people who like reading fantasy genre books because I think they would like it. Readers will especially enjoy it if they like the stories that are in fantasy genre. If I could change one thing about the book, I would change the part where the man in the yellow suit dies because I didn't want him to die. In conclusion, this book was interesting, inspiring, emotional, and exciting, and it left me thinking about the importance of death. I really enjoyed how the author described the message of the book in the story. Reading this story taught me about how important mortality is and made me realize that we should not be afraid of death. Overall, I believe this book is worth reading because it had a good story with an important message. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you'll consider reading the book Talk Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt.
Today I'm gonna talk about the book Wednesday War, and this book generally is like non-fiction or like main character growing because this book is about the howling hood is growing up to adult, and this book stating is 1967 when the American and Vietnam did a war, and the Wednesday work summary is the hauling hood becoming a adult and having a fight in Wednesday was teacher Mrs. Barkery, and my favorite moment was the Mrs. Mercury said to Howling Hood to do a housework in the school because I I didn't notice like the teacher will say to student do a housework in the school, so it was interesting to me. And in this book there's a lot of main character, but my favorite main character was Howling Hood because he is the main character and the main character like always do something good. So and also I like Howling Hood because he is he is growing up adult because like this book is about like he is becoming an adult like because he 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 changed his problem and he fixed that. So I wrote this and I want to give this book 8 out of 10 because this story is good to read for me, and there was also interesting and funny stories, and like this book is non-fiction book, so I think I like more, but this book was a little bit long, so I want to give 8 out of 10. And like I want to recommend this book to like who like non-fiction or kids because this books have a lot of funny moment and funny sentence, and I want to recommend this book in my classmate to Kevin and Sarah because like Kevin and Sarah likes this kind of book, like non-fiction. So I want to recommend, and I don't want to recommend this book to like fictions and fantasies books. So I don't want to recommend this book, and I don't want to recommend this book in my classmate is Aiden because Aiden don't like books, and also he he is he likes like something like dragon stories. So thank you for listening.
The book I want to present is Book Thief by Marcus Jusek. The author Marcus Jusek was born at 1975 and he wrote Book Thief at 2005. He wrote many books like Bridges of Clay and Messenger. The genre of book is realistic fiction. The setting of book is little German town in World War II. The story follows the girl named Liesel who lost her parents in young age and grown by step-parent Hooverman. Liesel learns how to read through Hans' help, and Liesel finds the joy in reading book. Even in the poor and hard times, she secretly reads book from library, and she gets named Book Thief. Through the reading book, she gets encouragement even in violent world. After Liesel helps Jewish man Max, she sees the human violence and through Nazi, but also sees human good through others. I'll rate this book as 8 out of 10 because the book and the setting was really good and the story was really touching to me, but also it was so long, so I will rate this book at 10 out of 10. 8 out of 10. My favorite character in this book was Liesel because I like the Liesel that she got encouragement from the book and she learns and she gets joy from it. I recommend this book to Sarah because she likes realistic fiction and she likes reading long book. But I think Dennis would least enjoy this book because he don't like reading long book, and the setting of the book Biff might be too boring to him. Also, overall, we can learn the human good and evil and power of book in Book Thief.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah, and today I'm gonna talk about the book I read named Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Before I dive into this book, I'll talk about the Percy Jackson series. The Percy Jackson and the Olympian series is about a young demigod who discovers he's a son of Poseidon and must go on quests with his friends to save the world from mythical monsters. This series was created by author Rick Riordan, a former middle school teacher whose classroom was learning Greek mythology, and also he needed bedtime stories for his son. This sparked the idea of the best-selling series of Percy Jackson and the Olympian. Now I'll talk about the summary of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Percy Jackson is a 12-year-old boy who always gets into trouble at school. One day on a field trip, his teacher turns into a monster and attacks him. Soon, Percy learns a shocking truth. The Greek gods are real and he's a demigod, the son of Poseidon, god of sea. After a minotaur attacks him and his mother, Percy reaches Camp Half-Blood, a safe place for demigods. His mother is captured by Hades, the god of the underworld. At camp, Percy meets his friends Annabeth, Chase, the daughter of Athena, and Grover, a satyr. When Zeus' master lightning bolt is stolen, Zeus blames Poseidon, thinking Poseidon's son, Percy, took it. To prove his innocence and save his mother, Percy goes on a quest to find the bolt and return it before the gods start a war. Percy, Annabeth, and Grover travel across America, facing monsters such as Medusa, Echina, and Ares, the god of war. When they finally reach the underworld in Los Angeles, where they meet Hades, who says that he doesn't have the ball and accuses Percy of having it. Percy stands on the truth and says that he doesn't have it, but when he checks his bag, he finds a lightning bolt. He learns the truth that Ares actually framed him and that now he has two gods to deal with, Zeus and Hades. When having the 3 pearls that are given by Poseidon, Percy and his friends escape from the hold of Hades. When they reach Los Angeles, Percy knows that now when he has the lightning bolt, he needs to find a way to have peace among the gods and himself and to save his mother and his friends. So he decides to take the brave idea by going into Olympus. But if they need to go to Olympus, they need to go to Empire State and travel all the way to the 600th floor. But one man named Arceus helps him, and when he enters Olympus, Zeus rage shakes the whole New York. So he confronts Zeus and talks to Poseidon and says how Ares was actually behind all of the master plan. But Zeus, who has the power to see who's telling the truth, finds out that Percy is actually saying the truth and lets him live. And also, Poseidon says that he rescued Percy's mother from Hades and made a resolution, and Percy goes home happily. And when he reaches his home, he finds out the head of Medusa was sent back from Olympus to Percy's home, and then says that his mom can be free from Smelly Gabe and that she can live the life she wants because Poseidon wants her to live as a queen and that he had never met anyone like Percy's mother for 100 years. So his mom stones Gabe, and then she makes money by selling the statue. Now Percy realizes that if he lives in the human world, his mom could be in danger, and also he can also be in danger because of the monsters who wants to kill demigods. So he decides that he'll spend his life in Camp Half-Blood. When he goes to Camp Half-Blood, his mentor Luke asks him to go into the forest alone. So Percy agrees, knowing that Luke is such a kind friend. But when they enter the forest together, Luke suddenly spawns a scorpion and tries to make it attack Percy. By having the blessing of Poseidon, Percy escapes because of Annabeth, the daughter of Athena, who feeds him ambrosia sweet nectar. Percy is enraged and wants to confront Luke and finds that Kronos, a titan, is trying to infiltrate into Luke's and Ares's mind and must stop another World War III from happening, and also to try to stop Zeus and Poseidon fighting. One of the most memorable events in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief is the final confrontation of Luke and Percy. This is where we realize that Luke was the true thief of Zeus's master block. This is exactly how I feel when my friends lie or betray me. My favorite characters in this book are Percy Jackson and Annabeth Chase. Percy is very brave and likes adventures like me. I also like Percy because he's courageous and selfless. I like Athena because she's smart and values wisdom more than anything. My favorite quote in this book is that even strength must bow to wisdom sometimes. I like this quote because many people think that being strong is the main priority, but wisdom is sometimes more important. Annabeth says this to Percy when he's scared to fight the god Ares. I will rate this book a 10 out of 10 because I like fantasy adventure books. Also, this book had a good moral. Good prevails evil. I'll recommend this book to Shirley and Lisa because they like fantasy adventure books, but I wouldn't recommend this book to Dennis because he likes more realistic books, and Jingyu because this book is a bit long. Thank you.
Hello guys, here for today's essential reading. I brought Hope Was Here by Joan Burr. So this book is actually really nice. It was published in 2000, September or something. I don't really remember the exact date. But it's actually a very older book. It means it's really good. Alright, let's get into it. So, the main character, Hope, but her real name is Tulip. Cute, right? So, she was raised by her aunt, Eddie, because her real mother abandoned her. But every Christmas she writes letter, but she's such a bad mother, right? I think she just scared her children. So she's a waitress. She worked in best diner in New York with her aunt. So they've been waitressing for Tulip. She's been waitressing for a year and something. I don't really remember. And then they're moving country, state to state, and they're going to Milhoney, Wisconsin. Not Milhoney. So while they're going to Milhoney, they go to the crash in Indiana, westbound. I used to live in Indiana. So good. But what I mean crash is not what I mean crash is you sleep somewhere. So they came to Milhoney. It's I think it's not city. Yeah. Then they come to Welcome Stairways Diner. They met GT. He's the owner of the Welcome Stairways Dinner. And then he had leukemia. That's disease. And then Eddie and Hope decides to work there. They like the mood. They like the food. Additionally, I forgot to say this at first, but Hope, each restaurant she wrote, Hope was here. That's like important because she's telling I was here. Yeah, and then back onto the GT story. There was like a mayor in Millhoney called Millstone. He's like corrupt. He's like so bad. And then during it, he had this campaign, vote for Millstone. But GT came to him, hey, can I speak something? He said, yeah, sure. He said, hey, I'm running for mayor. And imagine, I'm running for mayor and someone comes into your campaign and say, hey, I'm gonna run for mayor. And you know the reason? GT finds out Millstone has a big dairy company that took over other dairy companies. I think something like that happened. And then because of the heavy trucks, the roads are hurt. Like it's like cracked. And here's the final reason, because since he has leukemia, he can't work in restaurant anymore. He wants like a desk job. That's why you have to study. So what was his career? Hope and Eddie helped her GT's campaign. And Hope meets a guy named Braverman. He works in the restaurant too. And then later, they get romantic. They date. And then, and then during the campaign, Millstone he makes like Hope stock. It's creepy. They do like scams, yeah. And eventually, Millstone says, hey, that GT guy has leukemia again. Don't vote for him. Then Millstone wins, but Braverman and Hope finds out that was a scam. False voting, fraud. And later, GT becomes a mayor. And yeah, and guess what? GT and Eddie, they married. Oh yeah. Ooh. Ooh. But here's another shocking. Look. GT adopts Hope. He adopts Hope. No, so Eddie and GT, they married. And then they adopt Hope. And then this is really important. Do you know why? Because Hope really didn't have a father. But GT, he's becoming a father for him. He made like a good sentence. It was like, you guys don't know how important life is. You guys don't know how sweet life can be. How important, how blessed every minute is. The importance, what to say and do what is right when you got the time. But 2 years later, GT dies.
Hey, that's the ending.
He dies.
Hey, you spoiled! Hey, spoiled!
Whatever.
You're still evil!
And then guess what? Hope inherits the money. Cha-ching! Okay. And then I think you children like this because it's like healing something. And then I don't think David's gonna like it because this is kind of warranted. I think that's what I think. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sore, and my essential title is William. The actor is May Michael, and the genre of the book is realistic fiction. There was 4 sisters, and their not rich. So when there is Christmas, they try to buy their own presents, but they can't because they don't have them. So they decided to buy their mother's present to collect their love. So then after day we met, and there after that they go to another country and they marry. And I want to recommend this book to Yevon because I think they like not like kind, and I don't want to recommend this book to Elisa because I think she don't like
Hello, I'm Daniel. Today I'll present Iceland of Blue Dolphin. This book is written by Scott Odell. The genre of this book is, I can say it's survival, I think.
Actually, you can say.
And this setting of this book, there is native people living, and Russian people come from ships and trying to hunt the animals. The native people allow them to hunt, and they're hunting in one side of the island. They don't trust each other, so they have a conflict and they have war, and main character's father died. And their native people vote a new leader, and that leader is searching for somewhere to leave. After that, one ship came and leaders sent the ship for sending all villagers to other place. When main character is riding a ship, main character's friend lost a spear, so her friend tried to find the spear and cannot ride in a boat. So main character just go to her friend, and ship just left. Her friend tries a lot of things, and that caused wild dog. Her friend died by a wild dog, and main character build weapons, stronger weapon, and go to that wild dog's cave. And the main character kill lots of wild animals, and some days after, she found the leader is living with hurt body, so she raised that dog and they became friends. When hunters came again, she moved her base to cave, and being friend with one of hunters. which of your classmates would most enjoy this book? Why do you want to believe so?
It's okay. Just answer.
It's okay.
Keep going. This is going on YouTube.
Okay.
Keep going.
I think our classmates will not enjoy this because this book is a little boring. So our classmates will not enjoy because G8 essential reading book list or have not much fun books. So compared to G7 list.
Why you compare?
It's okay. It's okay. But that's acceptable.
Thank you. Maybe I will not enjoy most.
Hello, my name is Chrisline, and I'm going to talk about a book called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. The genre of the book is dystopian science fiction and action and adventure. Some fun facts about the author is that she worked as a television writer for Nickelodeon, a kids show. And this book came from the idea of a reality TV show and news of the coverage of a war. And her father was a military, served in the Air Force, and taught her war and effects of it that it makes. So in her books, in her serious themes, she puts them in. The setting of the book is the future version of North America that rose after war and natural disasters. The capital. The capital is rich and powerful and has advanced technology, fashion, and wealth. For example, the technology is when someone gets out of the shower, machines dry someone up and blow dries her hair, picks her clothes, and styles her. District 12. This is where the main character lives. And the district is poor and coal mining region where most people struggle to live in. The Ariana. It's the battlefield of when the game takes place in. Some of the characters are Katniss Evergreen, the main character. She is brave, smart, and skilled with bow and arrows. Peeta Mellark is the main male tribute from District 12. He is kind, clever, and good at speaking and painting. And later he has a crush on Katniss and helps her survive. Gail Hawthorne. He is Katniss's best friend and is a strong hunter and very loyal to his family. And he also secretly loves Katniss. Prim is Katniss's little sister, and she is 12 years old. And she is sweet, gentle, and loves animals. And she is also the reason Katniss joined the game. Now let's go into the story. The capital controls 12 districts. And the districts rebelled and against the capital, but eventually lost. So, to show this, every year, to remind their power, a boy and a girl is picked from a random paper box, and they have to join a game. Their age has to be between 12 and 18. And when picked, they have to fight to death in a televised event called the Hunger Game. And in the last episode, only one can live. Later, Prim is chosen, but Katniss volunteers to take her place. And the boy chosen is is Peta, the baker's son. And when Katniss was young, he gave bread to her when her family was struggling and was poor. And later, in the television show, to make entertainment, there's a fashion show. So Katniss gets dressed up from Celia and gets known as the girl on fire. Because Scylla dresses her up in a flaming costume. And during an interview of the fashion show, Peta fakes and says that he loved Katniss for years to gain fame and public support. And later, Katniss uses survival skills and intelligence and courage to face hunger, dangerous traps, and other tributes trying to kill her to win. And as time goes by, Peeta and Katniss falls in love with each other. Yeah, and then you can read the book to see who wins and how the love story.
Did they marry?
That's a little spoilery.
I would recommend this book to someone who likes action and adventure because this story has survival challenges and battles and clever strategies. And someone who likes to think. While reading this book, I thought of what I was going to do in that situation, which made me entertained when reading. I wouldn't recommend this book to someone who doesn't like violent, deadly competitions. As a person that doesn't like violence and deadly competitions, it was kind of hard to read for me, but it was still fun. And someone who likes happy, light stories. The story is not cheerful or romantic all the way through the story. It's not like all romance and all cheerful. It also shows hard times of the characters and the violence. And this is the end of my presentation.
Okay. So the book I'm going to present about is the book called To Kill a Mockingbird. So the author of this book is Harper Lee, and he is the American novelist, and he lived from 1926 to 2016. This book was published in 1960, and the genre of this book is Southern Gothic, coming of age, and social justice fiction. The setting of this book is the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama during the Great Depression 1930s. The narrator is Scout Finch, who is the main character of the book, and she is a young girl looking back on her childhood. So, the historical and social context of this book is to understand the book, we have to know what was happening in the US South at the time. So there was racial segregation. The Jim Crow laws separated black and white people in schools, transportation, and daily life. So this was basically like the start of discrimination between the black and the white people. And also there was economic hardships around the whole America. The Great Depression left most families, especially the rural towns where most of the black people lived, like Macomb, struggling. Also there was racism and injustice. Black people often faced like unfair trials and violence. So also there in the book there was like a situation when like the main character Finch had to do something, but because she was black, she got discriminated and wasn't able to do the thing she wanted to do. So to describe the main characters, there is Scout Finch, and she is the narrator, and described in here, it says she is a tomboyish and curious young girl. Also, there is Atticus Finch, and as you can know from the last name, he is Scout's father, a respected lawyer known for his morality and the sense of justice. So he was very helpful to Scouts throughout the whole story, because as Scout Finch was feeling injustice throughout the whole society, Atticus Finch was the one who taught Scout that she should be the one to do justice. And also there's Jem Finch, who you can also know from the last name that she is a family of Scout, and he is actually Scout's older brother who matures and begins to understand racism and hypocrisy. So Scout Finch is just a young girl, so she doesn't know exactly everything about racism and like the discriminations. But Jem Finch, because he's older and he is more mature, he was able to know that they were getting discriminated and being injustice. So, and there is also Tom Robinson, a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman. So he was part of a very big event in the book, and he was like accused for raping a white woman, but he was just getting that image because he was black, and he didn't actually do any crime. And his presence actually taught us about how black people were discriminated, and everybody thought that black people were bad just because they were black. And also there was Boo Radley, who is also called Arthur Radley. He is a reclusive neighbor surrounded by rumors, and he symbolizes misunderstood goodness. So he do every like good things and kind things to his neighbors and like stuff, but just because he is black, everybody thinks that he has some like dark, like bad meanings behind all of those actions. So it also showed that how black people, even though they do good, people don't view the goods as good, but they just view it as some disguise, which they are trying to do dark things. Also, there's Carpuria, the Finch family's like housekeeper who helps raise Scout and Jem. And this housekeeper was throughout the story like helping the kids grow, including Scouts and also Atticus, and also and Jem, and also Atticus Finch really thanks her a lot throughout the whole book. And also there's May Yala Arrow, the poor white woman who accused Tom Robinson's of assault. And because she thinks she is accusing Tom Robinson for raping, but actually she didn't get enough. She's just doing that to get all the benefits she could get because he was black. Also there's Bob Ella, who's Neil's abusive father, and represents ignorance and hate. So Bob Ella is actually also white, so he hates the black people, and he is very ignorant, so he don't know what's happening throughout the society. So he believes everything the society is telling him. So he thinks the black people are just so bad and does not think through everything like properly. So the plot summary of this book is first though is childhood and mystery. Scott and Jem grow up in Nanko and they are fascinated by their mysterious neighbor Boo Radley. And Boo Radley, before, as I mentioned, is the reclusive neighbor surrounded by rumors. And he is the one who is like doing the good things, but actually everybody's keep making rumors about him doing bad things behind. And then there's Atticus defends Tom Robinson. So Tom Robinson was the one who was accused for raping Nayala Ewa, and Atticus, as a lawyer, takes on Tom's case and defending him against the false charges of raping Nayala Ewa. So Atticus was able to keep Tom Robinson free from any punishments, because actually Tom Robinson did nothing wrong and he was just in a bad fault. And also their trial and injustice, despite clear evidence that Tom is innocent, like Atticus has stated in the trial, the all-white jury convicts him. Because the jury is all white, they are discriminating black people, and he is black, so he did something wrong. There is no proper evidence that he did it, and there are just more evidence that Tom is innocent, but still everybody is convicting him of the crime just because he is black. Tom later tries to escape prison because he did nothing wrong. He just tries to survive, but then he is shot and he eventually dies. So this was the one of the most like event that really hit me in the head, because like he had evidence that he was innocent. There was no clear evidence that he did nothing wrong, but they just put him in jail just because he was trying to escape the prison. They do not do anything like capturing him again, but they just shoot him in the end. And also, there's the aftermath. Scout and Gem become disillusioned with the worlds of fairness. So Scout and Gem is very feeling injustice, and they are very faulted. And later, Bob Ewell seeks revenge and attacks them at night because their father, Atticus, tried to protect Tom Robinson, who was very convicted of raping Ewell, raping Maya Ewell, who was his father, who was his daughter. So who readily, so Bob Ewell tries to kill Scout and Gem, but later at the night when Bob Ewell tried to kill Scout and Gem, readily the one who had rumors around the neighborhood saves them, finally revealing himself as kind and gentle. So actually, just because Blue Redley was black, there was rumors, but actually he was the kind, he was the gentle one. So until here, we could eventually see that at the start, every black people were getting rumors about how they were bad and they were so very pushy. But actually, in the end, you could see that every black people was not actually that bad, and all the white people was actually discriminating them, doing the best of themselves. And at the ending, Scout realized that Boo, like the mockingbird, symbolizes innocence that should never be harmed. So, to summarize this, mockingbird is actually symbolized as an innocent bird because it is actually really light and like that. And Scout, at the end, realized that Boo, who was getting the most of the rumors and the most of the bad stuff, was actually like the mockingbird, who was innocent and who was the one who symbolized peace and safety, even though he was bad. And also, the themes of this book is, first, there's racial injustice. Just because someone is black or just because someone is yellow or just because someone is white, it doesn't represent their personalities. And before in the 1900s, this was very severe, so every black people were actually enslaved. But this is very wrong. The central theme through Tom Robinson's trial exposes the deep racism of society, because he found out every evidence he needed to free Tom Robinson, but actually Tom Robinson was dead eventually. And I guess that's for moral courage. So I guess even though he was also black and Tom Robinson was at a very like depressing trial, I guess stands up for Tom Robinson, eventually was almost close to saving him. But all of the white jury was able to just give him that this represents the racial injustice. And second, there is loss of innocence. Scout and Gem being innocent. Scout and Gem, they had known nothing, they were just pure, but eventually they see the human cruelty and hypocrisy, and they eventually turn to be not innocent, and they knew all of the other sides of the society. And then there's empathy and understanding. Atticus advised, you will never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. This was also the line that I really felt myself, because I really felt sympathized to this verse, because like, yeah, it is true that you never understand the person until you consider things from his point of view. You can just think from your point of view, thinking about his or their personality. And this actually becomes Scout's moral guide throughout her whole life. And there is moral courage. Atticus defending Tom, even though he knows he will lose. Because he was black, he found every evidence, but he saw that the jury was not going to let him free. But Atticus, he was trying to do the right thing, so he kept standing on for Tom for his innocence. This taught me that doing what's right matters more than winning. And also, there's good versus evil. When it comes to people, mix kindness and prejudice. There are prejudices that black people are bad also, but there are black people in the story, like Boo, is actually very kind and they are gentle. Eventually, he saves Gem and Scout. This shows us how we shouldn't have prejudice of who is good and evil, we should really talk to them, or we should really think in their point of view, like it says in the story. And there is 6, the symbol of the mockingbird. As the story says, the front page of the book is actually to kill a mockingbird. Mockingbird represents the people who stands for kindness, like Lou or Atticus. But actually, there's the verse to kill, which means the society is trying to kill the good and gentle people just because they are black. If you just see the front page of the book, it is actually made of black color to write the word, and there are white background. I think this could also represent that there are like good people all around the society, but the white people are trying to make them wrong. So let's go back to the symbol of the mockingbird. So mockingbird represents innocence, purity, and harmlessness. Atticus tells his children it's a sin to kill a mockingbird because they don't do one thing and make music for us to enjoy. So mockingbirds are actually, people might get very annoyed of the mockingbirds, but they do actually no harm. So people could just leave them, but people won't, just because they're annoying. Tom Robinson and Boo Radley are both assuming mockingbirds. Innocent people hurt by society's prejudice. Tom Robinson, he did nothing wrong, but because of prejudice, he died. And Boo Radley, he did also nothing wrong. He also living in the neighborhood, but just because he was black, because of prejudice, he had many rumors around the whole thing. And he was one of the kindest people in the book because he saved Charmin and Scott. Also, there are 4 famous quotes I think I want to represent in this presentation. There's one: you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, which, as I mentioned, was the thing that touched me the most. The second, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, and I explained before, mockingbird means peacefulness and like people who are good. So to bury the good people into the society's prejudice is something that's very, very wrong. It will just rot the whole society. Number 3, there's the one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience. This shows that person's conscience, which is the one that determines the good and bad, is not supposed to be like rationed by the society's prejudice. And there's number 4, people generally see what they look for and share what they listen for. This means that people don't want to see the truth of the society. They try to see what they want to see, and they try to hear what they want to hear. So if you have that thought inside yourself, you'll never be able to see the truth of the whole society. But you should get rid of that, and you should hear what you hear, and you should see what you see. The style and structure of the book, it is written in first person point of view, which is quiet, which is like not very common. This blends the humor and tragedy into the whole book, so it was very like enjoyable to read. And it was innocent childhood stories mixed with serious moral lessons. So I thought it was very fun to read, and it was like throughout the whole book I was like, oh, this could happen to me too. But actually, there were moral lessons behind it. And also, as the story goes out and Scott matures, the tone goes darker, so all the wordings become more serious. And I could notice that throughout the whole book. It was trying to teach me a good moral lesson. Also, there are critical reception. This won a prize, Pulitzer Prize in 1961, and this book was actually published in the 1960s. So this is very meaningful. It just 1 year after its publishing, it got a prize. So it was hugely emotional, and I really think this book is super good to read, and it teaches all moral lessons. Also, there was a film in 1962 starring Gregory Peck, and he won an Oscar as Atticus Finch. This, as making by movies and making by books and winning prizes, it continued to inspire plays and other discussions about justice, empathy, and prejudice. So, also, there are things I just want to talk about more. Throughout the whole book, I could see that Scout was being matured, as I told you before, and there was Jem, who was already faster and more like maturing than Jem and Scout. So I thought it was very poor for Scout and Jem, because Jem, who is still young, even though he's older than Scout, he was an age who should actually enjoy his childhood. Who should actually be the one enjoying his school life, but actually because of the prejudice and the situation of the society, he was getting all of the faults. And also Scout was eventually not able to keep her innocence as she grew up, but she matures too quickly, not being able to enjoy. But there's a similar book to this called Counting the Stars. There is this character called Anne Mary, and also she, because of the situation of World War II around her, was not able to enjoy her childhood, but actually had to mature too quickly, not being able to be a child as herself. So I think these were like the most core points of the whole book. I want to suggest this book to all of my classmates because this book is teaches us good moral lessons, like you shouldn't be prejudiced, you shouldn't do racism, you shouldn't discriminate, you should actually talk to people and you should actually think of their perspective to really understand them. And also that we shouldn't judge people by their first view, but we should get to more know each other more to judge them. And just looking at them is not enough to judge them. I would rate this book so eventually 10 out of 10 because the moral lessons were also fun, the book was also fun, all of the moral lessons were very thoughtful, and I just wanted to share them with all of my classmates and all of my family too. So I actually talked about this book with my brother when I was home, and I think this is very good to think about also at school. Also, there is this point in this book is that people who are doing racism and discrimination, they are very actually and very ignorant view. There is the Arrow family, who is the people who got the rape, who states that they got raped, but actually Maya Ewell and Bob Ewell, they were not actually raped, but because Bob Ewell was ignorant and he knew nothing about how the society is reacting, he actually thought that the black people were bad and he just believed it too much that he actually tried to take revenge on Japan's scalp. So I also think in World War II there were people who got punished for being ignorant enough to follow the wishes of the society. So I think this also teaches me that just because society is telling you to do something, that ain't always right, and we should always think by ourselves to see what is good and wrong. So to summarize, this To Kill a Mockingbird book was actually very good. Harper Lee, I think she is really brilliant. She wrote the book in a very engaging way and also in a very thoughtful way. So all of the moral lessons were meaningful. The story was fun and also it was very engaging, as I mentioned before. So thank you for listening.
Good morning, everyone. Today I will talk about a book called Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Achebe was a famous writer from Nigeria. He wrote this story in 1988 to show what life in Africa was like before and during British colonization. Before this book, most stories about Africa were written by Europeans. Achebe wanted to show the real African culture from the African point of view. The genre of this book is historical fiction and tragedy. It is historical fiction because it happens during a real-time story. When British people came to Nigeria, it is tragedy because the main character, Okonwu, is a great man who slowly loses everything. His pride and fear causes downfall. The story takes place in Nigeria, in a village called Umunopia during the late 1800s. At first, the story shows peaceful African village life, farming, festivals, and traditions. Later, British missionaries come and change everything. The setting shows how old African tradition and new Western ideas clash with each other. The main character is Okonwu, a man from the Elbo tribe in the village of Umopia. Okonwu is famous because he defeated the strongest wrestler when he was young, and he becomes rich and powerful by working very hard on his farm. Okonwu's father, Unoka, was lazy and poor. He liked music, but he hated work, and he died in debt. Akantwu feels ashamed of him and promises that he will never be like his father. Throughout the story, Akantwu tries to show that he is strong, brave, successful, hates weakness, and often strict with his family. In the beginning, we see daily life in the village, people farming, celebrating the new Yam festival, and respecting traditions. There are beautiful descriptions of village life showing the peace, orderly culture. But then sometimes tragic happens. Akantwu accidentally commits a serious crime. Because of this, he must leave his village for 7 years and live in his mother's homeland, Mbanta. During his exile, British missionaries arrive. They start preaching and building church. At first, the villagers were curious, but slowly some begin to convert to the new religion, including Akantwu's own son, Noe. This makes Akantwu very angry and disappointed. He believes that his son has betrayed his family and his God. When Akantwu finally returns home after exile, he discovers that Mufia has changed a lot. The missionaries now have more followers and British official-controlled government. Akantwu tries to fight back, but he realized that the world he knew is falling apart. The book's title, Things Fall Apart, perfectly describes what happens to him, his family, and his culture. Okay, so Akantwu is the main character in the heart of the story. He is strong, hardworking, respected, and he becomes a great wrestler, a farmer, and leader to his tribe. However, Akantwu also has a big weakness, his fear of being weak. He wants to be the opposite of his father, Onoka, was gentle and poor. This fear makes Akantwu very strict, sometimes even cruel. He believes that the showing emotion is a sign of weakness. He rarely shows love to his family, even though he cares deeply inside. Akantwu represents the traditional man, proud, brave, and unable to change when the world changes around him. He is a tragic hero because his strength becomes the reason for his fall. Noka is Akantwu's father. He is kind, peaceful, and loves music, but he is also lazy but doesn't like to work. He often borrows money and never pays back, even though he is seen as a weak, but Unoka loves his life and enjoys simple things. He shows that happiness doesn't always come from the power or wealth. Akantwu hates this side of his father and tries to erase it himself, but in the process he loses kindness. Noe is Akantwu's oldest son. He is gentle, kind, and doesn't like violence. He often feels scared of his father's anger. When the missionaries arrive, Noe feels peace in their message about love and forgiveness. He starts going to church and eventually leaves his father's house to become a Christian. This creates big emotional conflict between father and son, a symbol of the clash between old and new belief. Azinma is Akantwu's daughter, his favorite child. She's brave, smart, and understands her father better than anyone else. Akantwu often says, "I wish Azinma were a boy," because she has the strength and intelligence he admires. Azinma is very close to her mom, and because her mom lost many babies before her. Azinma represents hope, the balance, and combined strength with kindness. Week3 is Akantwu's second wife and Azinma's mother. She is loving and courageous. Even though Akantwu can be harsh and still stand strong, one memorable scene shows her following Preeties through the dark forest to protect Azinma. This moment shows her bravery as a mother. Theme The biggest theme is the conflict between old tradition and new ideas. The Congo wants to keep the old ways, but the world is changing fast. And Congo's pride and fear of weakness control his life. And even strict word he loves exits. So this book teaches that much to pride can destroy you. To conclude, Things Apart is a beautiful and emotional novel about man, culture, and a world that changed forever. Chinua Achebe wanted readers to understand that African societies had their own order, justice, and wisdom even before European came. The book teaches us about the importance of understanding others and the danger of pride and about how change can destroy or rebuild, depending on how we face it. So personally, this book made me think about how fast the world changes and how important it is to listen and learn from others. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Jung Hyuk, and today I'm gonna introduce the book Macbeth, written by Shakespeare. So first of all, Shakespeare is the famous author. She wrote some famous books such as the Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet, something like that. And also, basically the plot is there is a protagonist, Macbeth, and there is also like three witch, and also there's Lady Macbeth, and the genre is tragedy, and the and my favorite character is Lady Macbeth, because in the book Lady Macbeth is very strong, is like she is very strong and brave, but during like story he felt guilty, and that ruined her like life. So I think this book shows that how guilty like can ruin her life, and that was pretty impressed to me. But the plot is not interested to me, so I'd like to rate this book like 6/10. Yeah.
If you hate the book so much, what's your least favorite scene?
No, like there isn't like least famous, but like the overall story was not interested. Just it was boring.
Why?
Like there was like some funny thing. There wasn't like funny thing like, and also just the overall story was just boring.
Main character is similar to who in our class?
In our class, well, in the like paper I wrote my favorite character is Lady Macbeth, and I think it's pretty similar to Lisa because, as I said before, Macbeth is brave and strong, and I'm not sure that Lisa is strong, but well, at least I think she is brave. So I think Lisa is similar to Lady Macbeth.
Whoa.
Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Gayan, and today I'm going to talk about our book, Beowulf. Yay! So, actually, the author is unknown because this book is too old, and this story takes place in Denmark and Scotland around in 6th century. And this book's genre is like epic poem, include adventure and heroic battles. So, for summary, the book Beowulf is about a brave warrior named Beowulf, and he goes to the Denmark to help king called Scotland. Oh no, Losgar. Yeah. because the monster called Grandar attacked the king's hell, so he kills Grandal, and later he even fight with like Grandar's mother too. So after many years, he became a king himself, and when he old, he fight with like dragon, and he win, but he was dead by his one like during battle one. So after this event, like people remember him as a most brave warrior in this world. And so my favorite scene is when he fight with like Grandar's mother. Like he go to the cave and use big harpoon stick and kills the Grandar's mother, and it show his very tattooed man. And that's why he's my favorite character. And I think Colin would like this book because I think this genre is matched to his like imaginary future, and and I think Ian would not like this book because I think he just don't read. Thank you.
Today I am going to talk about the novel The Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper. This story takes place in the mid-1700s during the French and Indian War in North America. At the time, Britain and France were fighting for control of the land, and many Native American tribes were forced to choose sides in this conflict. The main characters in the story are Hawkeye, a white frontiersman, and the last members of Mohicans tribe, Chingachgook and his son Uncas. They act as guides and protectors for two sisters, Cora and Alice Munro, who are trying to reach their father at Fort William Henry. Throughout their journey, the characters face danger from both nature and enemy tribes. One major theme in the novel is cultural conflict. The book shows like how Native American culture and European colonial culture clash each other. Hawkeye represents a middle ground, although he is white and he deeply respects Native American traditions and lives closely with them. This suggests that identity is not only about race but about one's beliefs and the life one chooses. And then another important theme in this book is the decline and disappearance of indigenous cultures. Uncas as the last true Mohicans, which symbolizes a culture that is slowly being erased by war and colonization. His death near the end of the novel is very symbolic. It represents the loss of just one person. But the loss of a cultural heritage and a way of life. This is why the title of the book is The Last of the Mohicans, because Uncas was the final successor of his tribe. Overall, the novel is more than just an adventure story. It is a tragic reflection on history, cultural identity, and the consequences of the colonial expansion. It takes us to think about what is lost when one cause tries to dominate another. And then I would recommend it, The Last of Mohicans, to people who enjoys historical stories that are based on real events. The book is meaningful for readers who are interested in cultural history, especially the experiences of indigenous peoples and how their cultures were affected by colonization. I would also recommend it to readers who like
adventure stories with emotional depth because this novel is not only about traveling and survival but also about identity, loyalty, and loss. So if someone wants a story that is exciting but also makes them think deeply, this book would be a great choice. Thank you for listening.
So yeah, I went to the same book that Chloe kind of introduced. It's The Crucible, Arthur Miller. We all know. It's I think mystery and history combined. So the setting you'll know. So like summary, like this little brat Abigail, she kind of she gets obsessed with this man, John Proctor, and she goes mad, and the whole town goes mad. Abigail?
Oh.
John Proctor. And then so that's like the whole plot. So what happens at the end? Proctor he is executed, I think. Why? Because of Abigail.
But you're not supposed to spoil the book.
Yeah, you'll know. Abigail, because of Abigail, he couldn't really prove his innocence.
What did Abigail do?
She seduced him, right? So which of my classmates would most enjoy? Shut up!
Already?
Shut up! Which of my classmates would most enjoy the book? I think Jay. He that's relatable. I think. Well, Abigail, she kind of gets punished, I think, at the end, where she becomes a prostitute. That's kind of sad, but yeah.
How's work?
Yeah, somehow she gets revenged. So, which of my classmates would least enjoy this book?
You know.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say that. But if you know, you know. So I prepared like 4 paragraphs of freestyle rap. So,
Let's go. It's about the crucible.
So like get the flow, yeah. So. So they called us guilty. Said we unstable. Stories twisted. Truth left on the table. No proof. No facts. Just rumor and label. Innocence burned. But we stayed unbreakable. Expelled from halls where we once stood proud. Silenced our voices, but we spoke loud. Treated like witches. Pissed off by fear. Justice gone blind. Yeah, evil's still here. They said it's over, but the scars remain. Whispers and lies still echo my name. We lost our place, but not our cause. Cause truth don't die, it just takes pause. Now we rise from the ash, rebuild the frame, and then the lies rewrite our name. History repeats, same fire, same tear. Different tongue, same sin. The devil's still here.
Hello, my name is Leo, and I'll introduce about the book Moby Dick, The Whale. So, the full title of the book Moby Dick is written by the American author Herman Melville, and it was first published in 1851. And what genre is your book? Moby Dick is considered an adventure novel, as it follows a long and dangerous sea voyage. However, it is much more than that. It is also an epic because of its grand scale, heroic quest, and philosophical themes. Many also classify it as a tragedy, focusing on a main character whose personal flaws and obsessions lead to his downfall. And what is the setting of your book? The story is set in the mid-19th century, which was the peak of the American whaling industry. The book begins on land in the whaling towns of New Bedford and Nantucket in Massachusetts, USA. However, the vast majority of the story takes place at sea aboard the whale ship, the Pequod, as it travels across the Atlantic, around the southern tip of Africa, and into the Indian and Pacific Ocean. And the summary of the story is told by a young sailor named Ishmael, feeling bored and breathless with his life on land. He decided to sign up for a whaling voyage to experience adventure and see the world. In a port town, he meets Queequeg, a highly skilled harpooner from a South Pacific island covered in tattoos. The Queequeg's appearance is intimidating at first. He is noble and kind, and the two quickly become inseparable friends. Together, Ismail and Queequeg get jobs on a whaling ship called the Pequod. The ship itself is old and gloomy, decorated with the bones and teeth of whales, hinting at a dark journey ahead. For the first few days at sea, the ship's captain remains hidden in his cabin. When he finally appears, the crew meets the mysterious and terrifying Captain Ahab. Ahab is a grim, commanding figure who has a prosthetic leg carved from a whale's jawbone. For the first few days at sea, the ship's captain remains hidden in his cabin. When he finds a truly memorable moment happens shortly after, when Ahab gathers the entire crew on the deck. He nails a valuable Spanish gold coin to the ship's main mast and declares it will be a prize for the first man to spot a specific whale, a legendary massive white sperm whale known as Moby Dick. It is then that Ahab reveals his true, obsessive motive, and Moby Dick is the very whale that bit off his leg on a previous voyage, and Ahab is not interested in hunting for profit, he wants revenge. That is summary, and I think Jaden would most enjoy this book because I think he would like whale. And
eating it.
And I think Jacob would least enjoy this book because I think he doesn't like sea.
Oh, wait, hold up. Hold up.
So, I'm gonna present about The Crucible by Arthur Miller. This story took place in Salem, Massachusetts during the 1692 witch trials. It shows how fear and lies can make people turn against each other and how hard it is to tell the truth when everyone is afraid. One of the most memorable events happens near the end. John Proctor, one of the main characters, is told to confess that he worked with the devil so he can live. At first, he agrees because he wants to stay alive for his family. But when the court states his false confession must be written and shown to everyone, he refuses. He says, "Because it is my name, because I cannot have another in my life." Then he tears off the paper. This scene is powerful because it shows that being honest and keeping your name clean is more important than living a lie. One memorable quote from the play is when Proctor cries out, "Because it is my name, because I cannot have another in my life." This line shows how much his identity and self-respect meant to him. It reminds us that our name, our reputation, and our moral choices define who we are. This message still feels true today, especially in the world where many people hide behind lies or follow others just to fit in. My favorite character is Elizabeth Proctor, John's wife. She is kind, strong, and brave even when she suffers. She was hurt by John's affair with Abigail, but she still tries to forgive him. When she is asked in court if John has been unfaithful, she lies to protect him, even though she never lies. That shows how much she loves him, and at the end, when John decides to die for the truth, she doesn't stop him. she says, "He have his goodness now. God forbid I take it from him." This line is very touching because it shows that she understands his choice and respects it. I admire Elizabeth because she shows quite courage. She doesn't shoot or fight, but she stays true to herself and her values. She teaches us that real strength comes from honesty, love, and forgiveness. I recommend this book to anyone in this school who need to read about truth and courage. The Crucible teaches us how dangerous fear can be, but also how powerful honesty and goodness are. It makes us think about what kind of people we want to be when things get hurt. In the end, the Crucible shows that even in the dark times, people like Elizabeth can shine with truth and love. That's what makes this story so meaningful and unforgettable. Thank you.
Hi, my name is William Lim. I'm from G11. Today I'm gonna present about The Crucible by Arthur Miller. So the genre of this book is tragedy, and it takes place in like way back in the 17th century of Salem, Massachusetts, where mass hysteria of just blaming and lying to other people that someone else is using witchcraft and that someone is a witch to get out of their own trouble. So that's what happened back at the time. And also the author wrote this book because at the time when the author wrote this book, Senator McCarthy, he basically did like the same thing as the witchcraft thing that happened in the book. So he blamed people for like believing in communism and that they were communists, and then they were socially like ostracized and isolated. So it was very similar to what happened in the Salem, Massachusetts, and that's why he wrote the book. So for the summary, so at first it starts by Reverend Paris praying at the bedside of his daughter Betty, because she like could not wake up after he found like her dancing in the forest with her friends. Like she just collapsed and then she did not wake up since. So he was praying, and then he called a reverend from another place because he thought that it may be a witchcraft. It turns out it was his niece, Abigail, who had been trying to curse Elizabeth Proctor, which is the wife of John Proctor, because she wanted to be with John Proctor. And because Abigail was about to get in trouble for doing some kind of act similar to witchcraft, she lies instead and blames others for using witchcraft like Tituba, and then Betty wakes up and Betty and Abigail just shouts out other random people's names of performing witchcraft. And then the story goes on, and then it causes some kind of snowball effect, and then it becomes this giant mass hysteria like in the town, and it's where just everybody just starts blaming other people to get out of their own trouble, and that causes many people to get jailed, to get hanged, many innocent people. And then you can actually like kind of see how like the morality and integrity of like each individual people in the town get like destroyed, you know. yeah, that's basically just how it goes. Which of your classmates would most enjoy this book? I think
Ben.
Yeah, Ben. Because he's Ben. Yeah. Which of your classmates would least enjoy this book? Let's see. Steve.
Eugene.
Jacob, Eugene, Ben. Yeah. Because he had a similar experience related to this book. If you know, you know. So I think that's why they would not like it.